everybody and welcome back to Pure Power Panda. Today I'm going to talk to you about my latest blog post, which is about oil pulling. Oil pulling is an ancient Ayurvedic practice which involves swishing oil around in your mouth for 15 to 20 minutes. It's not only supposed to improve your oral hygiene but also your overall health. Oil pulling heals a bunch of different diseases. According to Ayurveda, you can heal around 30 different types of diseases with oil pulling. They range from asthma to acne, migraines. You can also heal a bunch of oral diseases like gum infections, bad breath, and you can even whiten your teeth. Like I mentioned in my recent video on dental and oral hygiene, which I'm gonna link right here, we have a bunch of bacteria in our mouth. Obviously, our mouth is connected to the rest of our body, so the bacteria in our mouth can actually reach the rest of our body through either the digestive tract or through the bloodstream. Eventually, these bacteria can cause infections in other organs. Some studies even point towards an association between certain oral bacteria and cancer. When you are oil pulling, you're basically pulling out the bacteria from your mouth. There are actually studies that prove that this is true. People who oil pull regularly actually have less bacteria in their mouth. The problem with oil pulling is the fact that the mechanisms behind it aren't fully understood yet. We have studies that show that it works, but at the same time these studies cannot show how it works. But just because we don't know how something works doesn't mean that it doesn't work. And the good thing about oil pulling is it is super affordable, it is very easy, and it is completely harmless. So maybe you just try it for yourself and see for yourself. You just need any edible, organic, cold-pressed oil. Usually people use sesame oil, olive oil, or coconut oil. I personally prefer coconut oil just because it tastes the best and it is naturally antibacterial. Oil pulling is done in the mornings on an empty stomach, and you take a full tablespoon of the oil and swish it around in your mouth for 15 to 20 minutes, kind of the same way you would do it with mouthwash, but just not as harsh, because if you swish too hard, your jaw muscles are gonna get very tired. Once you're done, you just spit out the oil, kind of wash your mouth, and then you can have breakfast, or some people prefer brushing their teeth first and then having breakfast. So much for how you should do it. Obviously, if you're doing it for the first time, it's not going to be very easy because we aren't used to having oil in our mouth, so it can be quite disgusting in the beginning. Sometimes people have a hard time fighting their natural gag reflex because it's just kind of gross in the beginning. So if you're just starting out to oil pull, I'll definitely recommend you to only use a teaspoon of oil in the beginning. For beginners, it might be hard to keep the oil in the mouth for 20 minutes. It actually took me 2 weeks to keep it in the mouth for 20 minutes. You might want to start off with 5 minutes, then you progress to 10 minutes, and then after a few weeks you might be able to have it in your mouth for 20 minutes. It definitely helps to stay occupied during that time, so usually when I get up and I have the oil in my mouth, I either like to take a shower, I prepare breakfast, or I just do some household duties to stay occupied, which really helps a lot because then you don't focus on having the oil in your mouth. You should also keep in mind that the more you oil pull, the more liquid you will have in your mouth because your saliva is going to mix with the oil, and then by the time you're done, you actually have a lot more liquid in your mouth. Once you're done, you can just spit it out. Obviously, you shouldn't spit it in your sink because the oil can clog your drain. It's definitely better to either spit it in a trash can or in the toilet. So even though I kind of made it sound like it's a pretty gross and disgusting thing and you feel like throwing up all the time, it's not really that bad. It just takes you 2 or 3 days to get used to the whole thing. It might take some time to see some bigger effects on your health. The first things you might notice is the overall better oral hygiene. I noticed right away that my tongue is so much cleaner. It's really pink after oil pulling, and my teeth are also a lot whiter. But I'm not 100% sure if that is due to the oil pulling because I just recently started using a new electric toothbrush, so maybe it has to do with both. Sometimes when you go through a detoxifying process, your symptoms can actually get worse first before they get get better. I actually experienced that too because I suddenly got a lot of like blemishes on my face and even on my right arm. But that was only for a few days and then suddenly they disappeared again. But on the other hand, I've only been oil pulling for around 20 days, so it's kind of hard to draw any conclusions from that. I'm definitely gonna keep you guys updated on it, and I will do a follow-up video in the next few weeks or months. If you guys need more information on oil pulling, I'll definitely recommend you to check out my blog post on it because I put all the links to the studies on oil pulling in that blog post. If you are oil pulling yourself, it would be really cool if you could share your experience with everyone else. And if you want to add anything to the subject, please do so in the comment box. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!